You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
We're excited to kick off the third annual Lawn Tourpreneur Series and highlight some of the best and brightest up-and-comers in the lawn and landscaping industry. We're interviewing 6 lawntrepreneurs from across the country and highlighting their success as we share their inspiring story with you. Thank you to this year's sponsors, Yardbook, Equip Exposition, and Staybill for partnering with us on this exciting tour. Don't forget to check out the correlating equipment tour video for each guest on the Brian's Lawn Maintenance YouTube channel, dropping each Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
All right, guys, so we're hopping right on into it here. Excited to hang out today with these guys. We've got the Wilson brothers all the way in, is it Bern?
Bern, Indiana.
Bern, Indiana. By the way, when we were shooting the video, did I say Bern or Bernie?
You said Bern.
Yeah. Okay, I said it right? Yep. Okay, dude. I was like, man, I hope I didn't mess that up because I didn't know how to say it.
No,
but
that silent E's weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure who put that on there when they, pilgrimed over here or whatever. But
I was getting nervous because I was like, same thing with, I think I was talking to you, Trevor. I said Decatur, and you go, yeah, Decatur's right down the road. Yep. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm butchering it everywhere. When I go on the road, I don't know your guys' small town. So thank you for correcting me if I do mess it up because I want to represent correctly. But I don't know every small town in America. Go figure.
Right.
So really quick, we'll take it from the top. I've actually had a really good time here. We've been here for, probably 3 or so hours now. Had the morning rollout. We did the YouTube video. You guys got a great setup going on, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's do this. Let's take it from the top. For anybody who doesn't know you guys or isn't following along on IG yet, who wants to go first? Nate or Trevor, you want to take it away?
I can kind of just talk about our story of where we've come from, and then you can maybe dive into where we're at and what we're doing kind of now. So
Let's get the stats, highlights. Who are you guys? Where you're from?
Okay, sounds good. Yeah,
besides Bern, obviously.
Yeah. Trevor Wilson, and then this is
I'm Nate Wilson. We're brothers.
Yeah, brothers here in Bern, Indiana. We've got depending on the season, 15 to 17 people working for us.
That's awesome.
Across different part-time and full-time platforms, and in different aspects. We did just under $375,000 in revenue last year across mowing, landscaping, maintenance, and then hardscape.
Wow.
And then this year we're probably going to be, 20 to 30% above that. Nothing too crazy. It's been interesting. We want to grow a lot, but we're also preparing for bigger growth later, kind of extending the runway and really dialing in a lot of systems. So growth feels slower, but it'll compound later. So
I love that.
Our crews are kind of set up in 3 different divisions. We've got the mowing, and that kind of splits into residential and commercial.
Okay.
And then we got the landscape maintenance, which throughout the year, we got a lot of mulch and then a lot of spring and fall cleanups. And then we've got our design build divisions, what we call it. And so we do a lot of planting design, hardscapes. I'm working on a major in horticulture and landscape design.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
So I do all the designs mostly here in person. We've got a couple designers that do some of the details for us on contract, and then the crews put a lot of plants, a lot of pavers. It's a good time.
Yeah,
it's a good time, so.
Love it. So let me ask you this: the family dynamic. You guys are actually blood brothers, which is really cool. And so, how has it been the last couple of years growing together as brothers, business partners, business owners? You guys are, you just got married, right?
I did,
and
yes.
So congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
We were talking in between YouTube video shooting and just talking about marriage and life and how everything stays the same, but it changes, but it stays the same.
Yeah.
And it's just like talking about life and balance and all this other mess. And then Nate, you're getting married in 5 months?
Yeah, December 28th. It's like
right around the
50 days, something like that.
Who's counting, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Your fiance right now.
My fiance is counting. Yeah,
he's like, you better not miss this date. Like,
yeah, it's like every few days she like shows me her computer screen.
Oh my gosh.
She's like got it on the registry or whatever. Yeah.
I was gonna say it's. I affectionately remember that season of life because I called it hemorrhaging club. Because all I did was hemorrhage money. Every day it was like, well, the flowers are $500, but for $600 more, we can get these flowers. What do you think? And if anybody's listening, here's my pre-counseling marriage advice, right? Yes, honey, just go for it.
Yep.
Because Shivari chairs, I said no on, and it's been 10 years, bro. And I still get reminded. Those are like the little wood handle chairs versus like the fold chairs, that had a beautiful skirting on them. Shout out to my wife, by the way. But it's been 10 years, and she's like, we should have just had the Shivari chairs. I go, they were like, I don't know, $1,000 more back then. I'm like, we didn't have $1,000, bro. Like, it was a big deal. So anyway, I'm trying to save you from your Shivari chair. Some of you guys listening, what the hell is a Shivari chair? Just trust me, if the wife asks for them or whatever little upgrade, just do it. It's
Yes,
cheaper
honey.
to say yes.
Yes, honey.
Yeah, it's easier to make more money later. So are you affectionately going through hemorrhaging club, or was it just me? You guys writing checks?
Yeah, we're getting there. We're really one of the nice things though about her is her mom is a photographer.
Oh.
So she has like she
Good hookup.
she does like half her Saturdays in a year are shooting weddings.
Oh, wow.
And so she has like crazy connections with vendors and has gotten us some crazy deals on saving some money. But yeah, 100% we're getting to the stage where we're planning things that she doesn't have connections for. So
There you go.
Yeah, 100% getting there. Yeah.
Well, it's not usually so bad at this stage because it's just deposits, 5, 10, 20% or whatever.
Yeah.
But then when you're a week out and like, so you owe us the other $3,000, like, oh, okay. Not that big of a deal, but times 6 more vendors. You're like, where did that come from? Anyway, that was just my life story. I don't miss that, I'll be honest with you. So we'll pray for you and it'll all work out. Yeah. But so freshly married in 4 or 5 more months. So congrats in advance.
Yeah.
So a lot of life changing around for you guys.
Yeah.
It's been a crazy year. It's super fun to bring both of our wife and future wife into this growth, and then because we're just at the start, and so they're going to be along on our side as we grow, and it's awesome because both of our future wife and wife they're friends and they have a great time. It's a good time.
It'll all grow up together and be a great thing. And I remember, I think it was even you, Nate, you were saying it's going to be cool to see us grow this thing together, like build something together, all of us.
100%.
That'll be really cool versus like maybe somebody who's coming in 10 years from now and, be like, oh, this was always here. Hey, give me half. You're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding, but sort of.
There's definitely an aspect of like starting from the trenches and building that. Like if you as a relationship can withstand the worst of the worst, you'll make it through anything. 10 years from now, you'll look back at this and laugh. It's like, that was was but we're here and we made it through it. And the life lessons that you get through that are invaluable.
Yeah.
I love it.
100%.
Well, let's zoom out a little bit. Let's take it back from the beginning. How did this whole thing start? Because, you guys obviously got a great setup now. We'll get into that in a couple minutes. Jam in business, but what was the story getting started? Were you guys looking to make some extra money? Was one brother more excited than the other? Like how that all that go? The real story, right? They say. Yeah.
It started with my dad teaching me how to mow his lawn with just the regular push mower, and the neighbor saw us.
Okay.
And this is probably within the first year or two. I think I was 8 or 9. And I would start to push mow the neighbor's yard for $5.
Okay.
And that compound, I would do that every week. And then I added just 1 to 2, 2 to 3. By the time I think I was 12 or 13, I had just 2 or 3 around the neighborhood. I'd $5 each. I thought I was just like bringing in the cash. It was awesome. And honestly, one of those 3 that I mowed when I was 12, we still have today, and we've only increased it to $20 a cut.
Sure.
But she's, I think, 92.
Yeah.
She's sweet.
We all have a lady like that.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then that just kind of one client led to another in the neighborhood. And then when he was a little bit older, and because he's just under 2 years younger than me.
Okay.
So he I had enough to where it was enough work. I was like, hey, help me.
Did you ask for help, or were you like, dude, you're doing this?
It was kind of I think it was an ask. I don't even remember. We just kind of started doing it.
It's like, where am I at? He's blinking right now. He's like, dude, he won't let me go. Like I wanted to go.
I remember we were 15 and probably 13, 14. I took an old baby carriage that you would have behind bikes.
Okay.
I stripped it down to the frame and I built a cart for our mower.
Yeah.
We put that behind our bike, and then that allowed us to then get to new markets around our town of a mile. But we were able to get from one side of the town to the other.
We just opened up getting crazy fuel mileage on that zero turn pulling a trailer.
We're North Branch now.
Yeah, so that started with maybe 12 mowing clients, and then we bought our first zero turn, the little 34-inch Gravely.
Okay.
So then we pulled the trailer with that.
Yeah.
We were able to get everywhere in town.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. And that really compounded from a client would ask us for mowing, then they'd ask us to clean out their gutters, to then eventually, can you do mulch? And then I was 16 and I was working part-time at Ace Hardware.
Okay.
That's the only experience I've ever had really working for someone else. I worked there part-time for 2 years, and someone at the back desk he built a new house, and I was literally 16, and he was like, hey, I know you mulch, you mow. Can you plant and like design my new house?
Oh, okay.
Landscape.
Okay.
And he's like, I have a $3,000 budget. What can you do? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah,
we're gonna do this. So I got out my graph paper, and that was our first design build.
Wow.
And it was incredible. It probably wasn't like amazing compared to, but like it still looks good today. Like we look past it.
That's so cool.
It's great. So that was kind of that start of the landscaping and the more design build, because that compounds. Like people talk and it's crazy. So
did you see it as a business back then? You know, or
100%.
Okay,
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
I remember being 14 or 15 and we did like 30,000 in a summer.
No,
and I was like, this is crazy.
So it's so crazy to me. Like this is becoming more regular conversation on my content. You know, that there's these younger guys. You guys are a little bit out of the bell curve. You know, most of the kids were having the tour 16 to 19 years, or what, 20, 21?
21 and 20. Yeah.
You guys are, I'm baking you in, you know, because you guys started, like you said, at 13, 14. But people, when I was doing these YouTube videos 4 or 5 years ago with Christian Schlegel and a couple other guys, C and I was talking about earlier. And, you know, I'd make a YouTube title like 16 doing 200 grand. People be like, well, this kid, it's mommy's and daddy's money. Like, tell the whole story. And I'm like, I just told you the whole story. The kid's been reinvesting and hustling since he was 11. He's like 9 years in. 9 years into anything, you better be making some progress. But just because he started at 9 and now he's 17, he's put in the same 9 years as anybody else. But because he's not 35, people don't believe these stories.
It's crazy.
But now I've done 20, 30 of these shop tours or teenager tours, plus other great guests along the way. And I want parents to realize like it's a viable business. It's a viable career. It's a viable industry, like green industry. And sometimes you get these parents that are a little bit more traditional or they want a collegiate background, which is fine. But I'm like, hey, your son's like 16 and he's doing $80,000 out of your garage. Like, why don't you encourage that for a couple of years and see where it can go? And so you guys, again, are another proof in the pudding that like you can have a great base and really start to building it into something. And now you're looking at growing it into something big. But Nate, any other additional thoughts? I saw you were going to jump in on that.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I originally, when he started mowing, I was like, it takes all his free time. I didn't want to like join it. But then I started seeing like, he was like making money. And so we started doing stuff together. We were able to get a lot more done together. I've never worked for anyone else. Like he worked for Ace. I've always just worked here.
Love it.
Yeah. I mean, we just kind of grown it from the ground up.
It's a good point what you said also about the parents encouraging. We have had just incredible parents that, so something about us, we were homeschooled all the way through.
Cool. Makes it an even better case because this is like what I'm going to do with my kids. So anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And
you guys all turn out normal with good values. Shocker. You know, for any of you guys listening,
we have a good social life.
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
we have
well-rounded.
friends.
Yeah,
you're married.
Folks, like, I'm just telling you, this is like going to save America. This podcast, the teenager tour will save America. Like the answers are right in front of you all. But anyway, myself included.
And they were very flexible with us. They saw the value of we weren't just cutting grass. We were doing the customer relations. We were talking to people. We were doing some sales. We were managing the money. Real world stuff, paying tax. I've been paying taxes since I was like 15.
That's a sound point right there, bro.
And so, but they would have let us, like, we'd get up really early, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. We'd be done with our school by 10, 11 o'clock.
Right.
We'd go mow and work till dark. And then we did travel soccer across the Midwest on a really awesome club.
Our soccer people have been persecuted forever. So I'm a soccer guy.
There you go.
So shout out to my soccer friends. But anyway.
Yeah. So that was kind of our time management was homeschool, but we would also do that on the road or whenever we could. Mow, work, and then soccer. And that was it.
And our mom and dad were just like super blessed that we were given the opportunity, because I don't know how we would have done it. I mean, I know there are people who went to public school, they went to school from 8 to 3 and they did it after they hired some guys, but like it just would have been totally different, and we wouldn't be where we are today without being homeschooled and having that flexibility and freedom to build what we built. Like we wouldn't be where we are.
I think the big saving grace, if you will, or blessing that came out of all that was COVID. You know, a lot of kids got forced out of school. You know, they shut down the schools and or remote learning or whatever they were calling it. So it's kind of like your guys' background by design, but a lot of kids were able to take advantage of that situation because had a very similar workload. They're like, hey, like our teachers aren't really not fact checking, but grading, I guess, if you will, on the same merit, you know, based on the work you're turning in person. They're like, hey, were you on the Zoom? Sure, you get a pass. So like a lot of kids just got pushed through, which means a lot of kids can just push that stuff off, right? So they were getting done with school every day at 10, 11, 12. And then they were able to go cut lawns, or they could like listen to Zoom while they're literally on their lawnmower.
Yeah. And it's really cool because that kind of separates the mentality of these kids coming up, because you could either go play Fortnite and do nothing,
right?
Or you can take advantage of that in a really positive way. And really, hustle. You can set yourself up for an incredible future, work really hard, meet really good people, and set yourself up financially. Yeah.
Huge. We just did a tour with Riley Murray. His just dropped recently. He's 19, 110 accounts. He's like, dude, COVID, my company went from 8 lawns to 110 in like 2.5 years. He goes, thank God for the last 3 years in the economy. You wouldn't get that environment anywhere else.
Yep.
And now it's like, I can highlight you guys and your success and say like, hey, like these kids are doing it, whether, COVID or not, or having, getting out of school early or not, it doesn't matter. Like nights and weekends, of course, but you can do this and you can grow a real business. Yep. So let's hit, I know there's some growth story there, but for time's sake, we'll probably try to keep this at about a half hour, and because we're gonna go see the greenhouse and go get lunch.
Sure.
But tell me, like the ramp up of growth, if you don't mind. Like where was the middle with maybe you guys coming together, looking at this more formally?
Yeah. So I mean, we really we were doing a decent amount on our own, and about 4 years ago, we hired on 3 guys.
Okay.
And one of them is still with us today. He's managing our landscape maintenance crew. But that was kind of like we realized that we could separate. And when we started, I started running the mowing, and he did the landscaping. The first year we had 2 crews. He had 2 guys. I had 1 guy.
Okay.
And that was kind of like the first big jump from just the 2 of us. We hired 3 people. We went to 2 crews, and that's how we really made a jump.
That was the year we went from 60,000 the year before, just him and I, to 120,000, 140, something like that.
That's huge. That's huge growth,
guys, and that was incredible. And it was just eye opening. Like we were talking earlier about buying back your time, and how adding labor, but also through equipment, which we also were purchasing cash, we're able to exponentially grow that year. And then we tried to then do that the next year again. So we doubled that year, and we tried, and then we did double again the next year.
Wow.
So then that added a 3rd crew by taking one of the guys from the previous year, training him to work independently. So he became my role in the mulching crew. Mm-hmm. He led the mulching crew. That allowed me to step into, we were getting asked a lot to do some pavers, the planting design, these a little more high detail, bigger projects. And we were getting enough of them that was like, we really need to take advantage of this. So I split into the 3rd. He still ran the mowing and would pop into the landscape maintenance. And we've kind of been running that setup for the last several years.
Yeah.
100%.
Just growing them efficiently and adding bigger projects to the construction crew and a lot more projects to the mulch crew. So
how's that changed the dynamic of not only for your guys' working relationship, but also in the field or being in the trucks with the guys versus, Nate, before it would you and a guy, or now that guy's the guy with his right hand. How has that changed? So 2 questions there. How has it changed your guys' roles working together, being like maybe in the business versus on the business, that whole thing? Yep, right. But then also empowering people as you guys are learning leadership in life. And again, you're getting married, you're managing cash. Like there's a lot of learning lessons right now. How are you guys faring with all that process?
More of Brian's conversation with the Wilson brothers right after a word from our Teen Tour sponsor.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you are doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
We have found that Nate and I have split into very specific roles that we have started to develop. We've seen where we naturally tend to excel. Maybe with myself being more in the you could say dreamer aspect, or working in the sales, the marketing, a little more visionary, but also with some of the financial stuff, and then the design aspect, the artistic side of the designs. And then you've really loved and found a passion for working daily with the people on the sites, the maintenance of the equipment, the purchasing of the equipment, the efficiency, really dialing in what's efficient, what's not. And that separates the workload to where it can be done effectively. Sure. And then all the guys see that. They see where attention goes. And so like Silas and Connor and Owen, who are kind of the leaders of these groups, they can then get all the attention they need, then they get what they need done, and it goes down the line. So
love it.
Really dialing in where skill sets are, and then spending that time wisely.
Yeah, it's been huge for us to be able to separate those between the two of us, because like if I had to be in the office every day selling and doing everything that you do and trying to do everything that I do, and the same for you, you wouldn't be able to get all the quotes out, do all of the things that you do if you had to be in the field every day. And it's a mix of both. Like you're still in the field, I'm still in the office. Like it's not perfect. It's not 100%, but like it's just us finding that balance over the last couple of years, I think has made us way more efficient, just because it's like what I enjoy, it's what you enjoy, and it minimizes frustration
as partners in business too. Because we are doing what we are good at, enjoy. And there's less friction. And that's really the biggest part, is kind of eliminating friction in a business, whether that's him to the mowing crew, and that's the mowing crew to like the leader to his guys, to the clients, whatever, where there's friction, is just eliminating that super smooth so that things can grow effectively.
When we were younger, I would always get like frustrated at Trev, because he'd be like, "Yeah, next year we're gonna have like 6 mowing crews," and I'm like, "Whoa, all
who's buying this? Where's it going?
All this crazy stuff." But like now, I can realize like you have like the best ideas, like the craziest things. Like the greenhouse was like his baby, and then like I kind of came in and we've like made it happen, But it was like, this was like all his idea and stuff, and like I can like appreciate your ideas now way more, and your creativity a lot more, and it's like amazing,
And that's kind of when you dive into management styles, there's maker time and there's manager time. And the maker is more like big picture. Like for me, if I look at my calendar and I see 8 hours of open space, I'm like, let's go. I can get a ton done. I can make a ton of money. Like I need open space. But versus maybe you, where it's like I scheduled out meetings, time managed. Like if I have 8 hours, that means I have 50 time slots that I can talk to people. And that's just like, that's how he gets stuff done. And that's perfect, because you need both. And that's to build a sustainable big business that could scale, you got to have that. And if you're a solo guy running a business, that means you have to find that person somewhere else. And we've found that having as brothers, it's been incredible, because you don't have to go find that other guy that might be only 70% as efficient. So
let me ask you this. A little bit of a pivot here, but let's play devil's advocate, the opposite. What have you guys struggled with? What have you guys realized you have to grow up on? And I'm just being frank, but like, what have you guys realized, bad habits or bad thought process? You don't have to beat each other up. I mean, as brothers, you've probably already done that enough, right? But like, but a lot of people aspire to work together with family or brothers or sisters, whatever, parents even. Has there been any challenging things that you guys had to work with, or you're like, man, I never would have thought that, like, or hey, thanks for bringing the better part of this out of me, like anything like that?
I think one aspect that has been something that we focus on a lot now, and we really make it, we try very hard mentally to do that, is what hat are you wearing at that moment?
Okay.
Am I your brother right now, or am I your business partner? Or like,
there you go.
Am I like, our mom helps with some books with the accounting, and like when we're talking to her, are you the mom right now, or are you our business accountant? And that's a very different vibe. That's very different. And
shake that down a little bit for me, because I'd love to hear more.
Well, I mean, you think about like with the family business, it can become something that we like always talk about. Like we get home from work and then it's like, she wasn't in the office today, and so then that's her time to like talk to us about work. But we've been at work all day, and so it can become like a very like headbutting thing for all three of us, which is different now that we're moving out and everything. So it's not quite the same, but like just being able to put the mom and son hat on and have a dinner together and have time, family time, without bringing the business into it's really important.
Yeah, same for us too. Like if we hang out with his fiance and my wife, like taking a very like be conscious about like, we're not going to talk about business right now. We can talk about that at 6 a.m. the next day. Like,
right.
We'll get to that. But we can enjoy ourselves and just like be brothers and talk about and just hang out and not do business stuff. Now, obviously, little things obviously get thrown in. Yeah. Usually it's like, oh yeah, like we definitely need to talk about that tomorrow morning or whatever. But that's kind of the thing. We've gotten good at that. It's like, oh, we're starting to talk about something. We're like, let's pick that up at 6 a.m. tomorrow when we're in the office, not in front of our wife and fiance where they don't care. Yeah. They don't want to.
Or don't need to know.
They don't need to know, or they don't care about like, we need to buy new blades for the mower. Like they don't care. They don't care. And that is very valuable for our relationship with them as well. When we come home, we're 100% home for our wife and then for his future wife. Yeah. And that communication. That's the communication, and then the balance of that is like, we're going to be 100% at work. We're gonna kick butt. We're gonna really go for it so that we can come home and we can be there for our family. So
I love that.
And that's definitely like an ongoing struggle. Like it's like, it's not perfect. No. Like we like, I just think about like the last 2 weeks with you gone on your honeymoon. It's like, I felt like I wasn't good at that. You know, I was working until, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night on my computer, which isn't like always normal, you know, and it's like,
makes you appreciate the other side.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of those elements.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the other part too, is the open communication that like in May, there's probably 2 or 3 weeks where I might work 16 hours a day. Yeah, right. And it's going to be 2 weeks of that. And then we'll come out the other side and then it'll flip and I'll have a lot more time at home. Mm-hmm. And that's been a really cool communication and realistic conversation we've had with our ladies about what that looks like as home life, because they are not marrying 9-to-5 guys. Yeah. That's just not what we are. We're entrepreneurs trying to get after it, and it takes a little more time out of the day.
We're all laughing like idiots right now because we know. I know. We were talking about this in the outside because you just got married and you're like, hey, like, any tips or suggestions? And I'm like, dude, I'm still learning every day too. I'm like, I'm 10 years into this thing and I'm still like a newbie, Yeah. But I've learned a few things along the way. Shocker, just like even the most red-blooded male will pick up some things along the way. But it is very dynamic, right? And it takes a lot of effort marrying an entrepreneur versus having a 9-to-5 job, right? And so, and then you got family dynamics, and I love the mom son dynamic, right? Because she's in here wanting to make sure. I would imagine most moms or parents like want to love and protect and care, and then also she can say like, hey. I'm not coming at this from the mom aspect about just loving and protecting you, but really, you really don't have any money in the bank account. Yeah. And we have payroll next week. Yeah. So like
exactly
being like CFO mom versus like, mom, right? Yeah. And I deal with the same stuff, like grandmas, moms, wives, kids, all this stuff. Like, where are you coming at me from? Like what tone, what hat is wearing? I love that. That's a great way to visualize that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's probably been the biggest one that we've probably encountered of like struggle, friction, maybe relationally. In the building.
Taking the business to the home and just letting it kind of overcome a little bit. Yeah.
But I'm sure it's been as a family business, right? I'm sure it's changed for the parents too, to see you guys grow and blossom and spread your wings.
It's very exciting. They love it. I mean, my dad, like he gets so excited and talk about it. And like they love it. So that's the other side of it. It's like, we want to talk about it. Like there's times at dinner. Yeah, we definitely talk about it.
There's times you don't too. That's fair to say.
Exactly. Like there's definitely like, it's a balance. It's totally a balance.
The other day, we had some life going on and some house stuff and just bills and and then my mom was coming over watching the kids. And so she was like, hey, don't forget, we're doing a cruise. Where's your passport? How's that going? I'm like, hey, not right now. And she's just like, I know, but like, I'm like, not right now. Like Liz and I just had a fight where, we're living in 200 square feet. I'm like, can we revisit this in a little bit? And she's just loving and caring, so not to throw her under the bus, but there's just a time and a place,
for sure.
And so everybody deals with that. It's just learning to manage it, learning what works best for you. I know you guys do Monday team meetings. Yeah. You've talked about that in the YouTube video. And those really help make sure the gears don't grind, and they just keep everything well-oiled, well-lubricated. Yep. And because you have this machine now, you got mouths to feed, you got a dozen guys showing up, the greenhouse, what do they call it?
Greenhouse.
The greenhouse. So you got a lot going on. Let's do this real quick because just for time's sake, we have to do like an encore because you guys there's more here than I thought, to be totally honest with you, which is really, really cool.
We haven't really even talked about what we're looking at here in the future.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Take the next 5-6 minutes. Let's paint the dream. We're compared to where you guys are at. We're talking about that first thing in the morning, right, Nate? Look at what you guys have done in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I said, imagine I'm like, have you blown all of your expectations of where you thought you'd be?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as we think back to when we were 15, 16, 17, you know, or even younger than that, you know, the two of us were like sitting at night just dreaming and whatnot, you know,
watching
as we
Brian's lawn maintenance.
Yeah, watching Brian's lawn maintenance and wishing we had all of the equipment and all the stuff. So watching the reviews, that kind of thing. But like what we were like coming up with, we were dreaming of what we have now.
Sure.
And so it's like, I feel like this year for sure, like at least I have really realized like, wow, we're kind of like where we wanted to be. And it's really cool to like step back and see how far we've come. But
That's
then
so
at the
cool.
same time, we have like the last year, we haven't been thinking about like, oh, this is where we want to be. No, it's been like, now we're here and we want to go so much further. We've got the greenhouse now. We're looking to do a ton of stuff out there. And So
like there's a contentment and an excitement of where we're at.
Yeah.
But that has opened the door to even more than what we could have imagined.
Yeah.
And so
Now the gears are really turning.
exactly.
Where could
for
we
me,
take this?
Yeah, exactly. And I was potentially not going to go to college, but going to college has been probably a really incredible opportunity for maybe the education, sure. But really what it has done is opened up my eyes to what is possible outside of the small town that I grew up in. Like going to the big college, meeting a ton of people, the network, seeing just, oh my gosh, like we're thinking pretty small here. And we thought we were kind of dreaming. It's like, there's a lot that we could be doing in a lot of different ways to do a lot of really cool things and impact a lot of people. So I guess the main thing that we are, the season we're currently in is figuring out what are the systems that create the business that we have, and how do we create them in a way that can be copy and pasted, whether we want to grow into a new location or not, whether that happens in the next couple of years, in the next 5-10 years, whatever that looks like. We'd really like to have this system of whatever, how we get clients, how we sell the clients, how we continue the relationship with the clients, how we service the clients to the best of our ability, to grow that systematically, and really document that well in our books and our documents and figure out what is this business? What are we doing? And then the dream is we're looking at a second location, probably the next 3 to 5 years, cash flow dependent and kind of what that might look like, but looking in the northern Indy area.
Okay,
and then, because it's a bigger market. Basically, what we're doing, Bern is a town of 4,000 people, or less. It depends on if you
Boom, metropolis,
right? Yeah.
You're sneezing, you miss it on the highway.
And
exactly.
so if we build this system that's like it works here, maybe we build a $1 to $2 million business here with these systems.
Sure.
You take that to a very like large metropolitan area.
Yeah.
What can you do with that?
Right.
And so the other aspect is I have fallen in love with the aspect of business in general. Like, yes, we're cutting lawns, we're doing landscape, but I just love business. I love the aspect. One of the ways we like to grow is through mergers and acquisition. And so when we go to India, and like we purchased a part of a company this last winter, and we're kind of finalizing that potentially into the next. And there's some others that we're kind of looking at into this area to grow into towns. But that's how we'd grow into Indianapolis. It would not just be okay, drop a shop organically, fresh start. It would be, okay, how can we get at least 3 to 5 older generation businesses, these solo operator, maybe 2-3 guys that have really solid businesses, but if they don't get bought, that's going to fizzle out, and we can offer their retirement.
Right.
You take a couple of those in a large area, put them together, and that's a really solid business. And so that's kind of what we're looking at in the next 3 to 5 years.
I love that. Where'd you get that thought, or where'd you get those ideas?
I do a lot of reading. I read a lot of books. I listen to a lot of I have some mentors in business, and I have some really, really solid friends that have a very similar drive in the business world. I have a really good buddy that's in private equity.
Okay.
I have a really good buddy that does a lot of mergers and acquisition. They're in internships right now. One of my buddies is at Goldman Sachs. They're like, they're just going for it. They're really just going for it. And they push me in my thought process of like, oh, I'm just a lawn and landscape company. They're like, no, like this is what merger and acquisition looks like, or this is what the financial model that you could build around this system looks like and how it can scale. This is how you're not mowing, you're going into it. You have a client at your doorstep that then you can, how do you flesh that out over the next 5 to 10 years and make it very profitable in several different ways? And so like, I love the financial models around that. I love the ideas around that we can do a lot more in lawn and landscape than maybe the average lawn and landscape, owner would even think, because we think we're just cutting grass and laying down mulch. But it's a business. And if you think about it in business sense, outside of the scope of the green industry, there's a lot that can be done from other industries that think maybe the tech space or the financial world that have these models and these different aspects of growth that don't always get applied to the lawn and the green industry. And that's what I love. Like, I love the aspect of business and throwing it in.
I'm impressed. I love it. This isn't even conversation that a 20-year-old or 16-year-old or a 30-year-old would have 5-10 years ago. Maybe they did. I've never seen it, but so awesome, dude. So proud of you guys. And I totally agree with that sentiment. You remind me of like just a little bit younger Sam Rankin with Etch Outdoor over in Ankeny, Iowa. Yep. Have you got to meet Sam or ever met him or seen his stuff? He's a great dude, but first year, $400,000, $800,000, second year, 1.5, then like 2.2, then like 4, then 6. Dude's like 28, 29, 30 years old, just got married, so similar trajectory. And, doing $6.6 million, I think, this year is what they projected. Yeah. And a lot of it's through merchants and acquisition. So, and it's something that I'm looking at is I have a dozen friends back at home that are just exhausted with running a business. And I'm like, what if I brought you in, paid you $60,000, gave you a commission bonus structure, some upside, and we just brought everything in house. You don't have to sell. You don't have to invoice. You don't have to worry about cash flow, but you can just do the work.
Well, that's what we're looking at.
Do the work.
Yeah, with fertilizer. We don't currently offer fertilizer. We contract it out to a company that we partner with, but we would love to find some fertilizer company where there's a solo operator, maybe a few guys, but maybe he doesn't love the business aspect. Maybe
owning the business.
He loves fertilizer. He loves grass. He loves being the operator. Maybe he loves managing people also, where we could come in. He's got the equipment. We bring him under in the house and we pay him incredibly well, and we offer him a lifestyle that is maybe a little less stressful.
Sure.
But then he's still able to be a part of a really cool thing. And then that also is an easy way for us, because as business owners, we don't want to add a new division and then get so spread thin that we're fighting or we're getting so stressed out. What that does, that eliminates our...
you find good talent.
Exactly. We're bringing in new talent, and then that helps us stay, okay, we're looking at the big picture, and we can make all of these different parts work without us doing all the parts.
Right, being the secret.
Then you're never going to grow that way.
No, I heard somebody say, like, if you want to learn hardscaping, you can go learn for 10 years, or you can hire a guy with 10 years experience.
100%.
100%. And those are some light bulbs that have been going off in my mind the last few years.
And with that too, and we're not building a business that we don't want to sell it, but there's the other side of it where you do want to build a business that gains enterprise value.
1,000%.
With you being the solo operator or being tied to different parts, that eliminates the ability to sell it down the road. We just want to make sure that we build a business that has that option. I don't think we will. We'd like to build a generational business that our kids could run in this community. But you always want to have that as like an option. You don't want to get stuck. Yep. And so doing things like building the systems around it, making sure that your cash flow is systematized and it's regimented, making sure that your people have the training and that they're smarter than you. Honestly, that's the other part. Like we want to make sure that we have people that are smarter than us at their specific things. So that's what we're looking at here in the future and what our mindset looks like. Just a little sneak peek.
I love it. Dan Martell, I talked to you guys a couple of times about him. He's one of my guys right now that I love. And he comes from the tech space and a little of this and a little of that. But he has said a couple of times, like, make sure you have your walk away number, because like, people are like, well, I'm never going to sell this thing. And I'm like, I say the same thing but if somebody said, hey, we're going to give you a 20x EBITDA, you're like, I don't even know how big or how much or what that is, but it's enough to walk away and like literally walk away.
Yep.
Everybody's got a number.
Yep.
So it's always something to think about.
Because that's true. Like we're in this business currently.
Even if it's a unicorn situation.
Yeah.
Just to throw that in there.
But like we're entrepreneurs at heart. And so I don't know what 40 years might look like.
Right. Lifestyle, kids, family.
Like if there's a great opportunity that we can step away, but we know this is still going to continue without us, and we can go, we see our time and an investment in another avenue.
Right.
Yeah.
Like or interest or.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of that, and that comes back to our background and our faith and faith in God is just following the purpose of what that might lead. And who knows? Really, honestly, we give it all up to God and that.
I love that.
Could be anywhere.
I'm with it. Like being here in front of you guys right now with a podcast and a microphone, bro, I did not have this on my bingo card 2 to 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to be a good steward with what I got at the time, just like you guys are saying. And I'm like, who knows what the next decade is? If you would have told me 10 years ago I'd be doing this, I'm like, you're out of your freaking mind. I'm like the least likely person to do this. But so in the same boat, you guys build a $10 million regional business and you go, hey, somebody's offering us $30 million. That's a pretty good windfall. We might be out. You know what I'm saying? Give her a couple key people some golden parachutes with that, and we're out of here. So you never know.
Yeah.
But I love the mindset with the approach that you had just described. Like, we want to make sure we have a proof of concept, a good tech stack, software at the center, all this other stuff that is going to hold this thing together. And that's what you guys are going through as we speak. What did you say? Extending the strip, landing strip?
Yeah, so extending the runway.
Extending the runway.
One of the things that we've really we did remind each other every day when like it kind of feels like we're in the trenches, like we're building this runway because a big plane takes a big runway to take off. A little plane can run off of a little runway. We want a big plane, and we know that's going to take a big runway for it to take off, and it's flat for a long time, and then it takes off, and that's okay. Like if we're in no rush. If this takes 5 years, 10 years, but then it goes somewhere and we can impact a lot of people, that's great. But that's what I mean by that. It's a runway that can lead somewhere big.
I love it.
Yeah, we're doing like it feels like we're in this like place where we're not like growing like we were at the beginning, and we're not quite where we like want to be, you know, like growing like crazy, you know, like because when we a couple of years ago we were like doubling like every year for like 2 years, and now it's like, man, it feels like we're stagnant a little bit, but it's like, man, we're putting these systems together. We're spending money on like the office side and putting like, cause it takes so much time to put these systems together, but
infrastructure.
If we don't have those together, we're not going to be able to like acquire those businesses in Indy and put our systems into those businesses if we don't have them, you know, like, so it takes so much time now.
It's so interesting. I'm kind of pulling this thought together and forming this thought as you guys are saying this, because it's so reflective of hundreds of conversations I'm having. But like everybody grew so much, so fast the last 3-4 years to where we're all literally trying to catch our breath. Like, like mentally we're exhausted, physically we're exhausted, financially exhausted in a good way. Right. Yeah. But we're like, dude, we need to regroup. So like you see a lot of people looking at software very heavily. They're like, glaring holes in the business, right? Like, hey, 100%. Our shop, you know, is not the shop we need to go to the next level. Like you guys already outgrew this place by 2x. Yeah. And so I know those conversations are happening for you guys. We're talking about cash flow, and what you used to be able to do to pay cash, you might now have to leverage some debt to be able to grow, because to keep up with the machine, you know, that's growing so fast, you're realizing like you can't just eat your seed. Like you have to take on some debt, have cash flow for payroll. Because you guys paid cash for a bunch of stuff, and you're like, well, then the bank account goes back to dust, and you're like, well, so that's another lesson learned. Yeah. So it's I don't think you guys are a unicorn again in this like growth mode. You know what I mean? Like I'm in the same boat right now. People are like, Fullerton, you're going to go to $1 million? I'm like, no, not this year. This year we'll grow by 10-20%, but next year, because of what we're doing this year, extending the runway, love that. That's what we're trying to do right now. You guys have great ways to articulate. So I'm very impressed. Shout out to the homeschool fam. Shout out to mom and dad, right? As well. But that's the thing, like, you know, and we'll see what happens next year. Whether you grow and double or you don't, and you fall back 20%, nobody cares.
Exactly.
Life will go on. You'll figure it out. But like, you have to, like you said, give yourself that margin and that extra runway to really set yourself up for next year.
Right.
Like,
because we're very aware that in business and in entrepreneurship, there's a half-life of business owners and how long they last. And there's a lot of, like, and especially in the green industry, there's a fast growth up to 100, 200, 300,000.
Sure.
And there's a wilderness from 300,000 to like 800,000, where the key there is you went from being the sole operator who had very low labor costs, and you could take a lot of margin from being in the field. And then you're trying to go to the office where you have guys in the field, but their not only efficiency is less than yours, but they cost more than you.
Yeah.
And so then you have to get the economy of scale of those guys up further than what you would think is necessary to then not only pay the cost of the rising cost of the business, and maybe bring home a little bit for yourself.
Wait, you're 15 years younger than me, and you're going through the same crap that I'm dealing with? Because we have very similar sized companies right now, and both have the same like eyes on the horizon. I'm like, how does this guy know so much about my business, Nate? Like, but it's so true, isn't it? Like, it's just the wildest conversation. Yeah. So it does make me feel better listening to podcasts like ours and others that I'm not the only one dealing with the exact same stuff.
Yeah, and you really have to take a step back and just kind of see, like, okay, this is the season we're in.
Yeah.
We know it. Like, it's gonna suck. Like, when people say, okay, this period is hard. Okay, this is what hard feels like.
Right.
Like, just take a step back. This is what the hard feels like, and then it's like, okay, well,
push through.
Let's just push through. We got this.
Yeah.
Might take a year or two, and then we'll look back at this and say, okay, great. But then maybe 800,000 to 1.5 that's fast.
Right.
But then it's like, okay, that's a whole nother step to the $5 million mark. Because that's a whole different side. Because where you're at, you have to replace yourself at that level again, you know, and that's a whole nother aspect. So
I love it, man. You guys have a great thing going on. There's so much more to unpack here. I'm definitely going to circle back. I don't know next time I'm cutting through Burn, but
maybe we'll come up to you and come
on up. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, by the way, you're going down to Equip Expo.
Yeah.
Nate, you've been there once, right?
Yeah. Me and our mowing manager went down last year. It was awesome.
Okay.
We're hoping to bring 4 or 5 guys this year.
So, and this will be your first year, right?
Yeah, it will be. I'm
okay.
excited.
So Nate, give me here's, I'm going to put you on Johnny on the spot. Give me your best 60-second promotion of Equip Expo. You guys, they're one of the tour sponsors. You guys can use code Brian, save 50% whatever on your ticket, save $2, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Who cares? But Equip's a big deal. It's a lot of fun. So anybody who's never been, or maybe they're even younger and they're just trying to get the lay of the land. I struggle trying to describe it because it's so big.
Yeah.
But I'll let you try to do that and we'll see how you do.
Yeah. I mean, Cy and I went down. It was kind of the last minute decision to go down there. We were in the middle of leaf cleanups. It's in October. It's
busy time of year.
It's a busy time of year, but we went down. We drove down. It's like 3.5, maybe 3.5 hours. So we left early, got back late, but it was awesome. And he had a great time, kind of just getting to see all that equipment more for the first time. Because obviously, like as business owners, Trevor and I are always like, we're watching the YouTube, we're watching the reviews.
Yeah.
But as him coming out of high school last year, he hadn't had as much experience. Yeah, he didn't know as much about all that stuff, and so it was just like both of our eyes were just it was awesome. Like how much equipment, the people there were awesome. I mean, it's a bunch. It's literally like thousands of
30,000 people
of lawn care and landscape business owners, and it's just a good time. Like you go and you see a bunch of stuff that some of it you've seen like every day. You see the 0-turn mowers that you use every day, and some of the stuff you've never seen, like seeing the autonomous mowers from Wright, and the stuff that they're doing there, seeing Skag come out with their new mini skid,
Jackal, whatever it's called,
the new stuff, and getting to demo that stuff, getting to do all that kind of stuff, going outside. Like it's just an awesome time, awesome experience, and I'm excited to do it with some more of the guys this year. Get all of us down there and just have a good time. Yeah.
I think it's really cool to bring the guys that they're not as emotionally invested into lawn and landscape because they just got hired into the company, and this takes them to something they get excited about the green industry,
a career
that we already know is incredible, and we're very excited, but it shows them the stuff of like, oh my gosh, this is what's possible, this is the cool stuff, these are the cool people. Like it just excites them and it motivates them, and then they come back and they're just excited to continue in with us. So,
love it, man. Well, so we'll see you guys down there hopefully.
Yes,
if anybody's coming up to LAL, we'll see you up there. I don't know, you guys aren't that far away, a couple hours, so maybe we'll see you up there. But we're gonna definitely get a round 2 out of this because
sweet.
You guys have so much great stuff going on. I don't want to be an expensive first date here. We're at 45 minutes, but I do want to see the greenhouse, and we got to go get you have this local diner,
Burn Dining.
Burn Dining,
shout out.
It's getting built up. I hope the expectation meets the food quality, but I don't. If I come on tour with you guys, by the way, like, please don't try to take me to some steakhouse, okay? I'm not that guy. Like, take me to your local Mexican restaurant or a diner. That's what I do back at home. $20, we're in or out. I don't need anything fancy. Some people are like, do you want to go to like Ruth's Chris or whatever? I'm like, yeah, it's fine, but like, dude, let's just go hang out. Like, I'm not an expensive day, so I'm actually looking forward to the diner. I'm like, let's just go get an omelet and call it a day.
All right.
But let's do this. Yeah, Evan. Let's land the plane here. Where can people find you guys? Thank you guys so much, by the way, for just opening up. We're doing this on a weekday. Usually I try to come through on Saturdays and Sundays because I know you guys are all busy. It just worked out today where we were able to come through on a weekday. But of course, the guys are mowing. So I was like, when you guys want to do equipment setup really quick, right? And then we're like, yeah. And one of you guys asked, what time can you be here? I'm like, 4 a.m., 7 a.m., 9 a.m. You tell me. So we were able to bust that out really quick before the guys peeled out. But thanks for being flexible on this. I know work days during the week. But whatever, dude. You know what it's like. It's crazy right now. As soon as I get out of here, you guys are like, All right, call Miss Smith back. Call Mr. Johnson back.
I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I'm scared.
I would say my phone's face down. I'm sure I got 30 missed text messages. But so I just want to say, seriously, I never want to come in ever being like the big fish. We're not the big fish. You guys are the big fish today. So thank you for taking time to do the video, the podcast. And let's do that. Where can people find you? Because I know people are going to want to connect with your guys' story.
Yeah, so Trevor and Nate Wilson on Instagram and personally, but then WB Lawn and Landscape is our Instagram and Facebook. We also have LinkedIn. Pretty minimal presence, but we're really hoping to push that pretty heavily in the next year or two. So definitely stay tuned.
Awesome. And then reach out to them guys. You'll see them at Equip Expo. Check out the YouTube channel. We'll drop tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Brian's Lawn Maintenance YouTube channel. Are we Central Time or Eastern Time?
Eastern.
This is Eastern Time? Yeah. Okay, cool. Pacific Northwest, or not Pacific Northwest, NWI, right? Andy Mulder, that side of town, I think, is Central Time, right? Or is all Indiana?
There's the Chicago corner of Indiana is, and I believe the south tip of Indiana is, but I don't think any of the.
It's also okay.
Most of it's Eastern.
I always get nervous because I'm like, I'll see you at 9:00 in Indiana. I'm like, wait, shoot, is that Central or Eastern? I don't know. Yeah. Okay, good. So everybody knows. Now you guys know where. What was the Almond podcast where they knew where Denmark was? Now you guys know how the time zone works for Indiana. So we're all helping you guys out geography on these podcasts. Anyway, all right, guys, we'll land the plane there. Appreciate you guys listening. Thanks again to all the tour sponsors as well. And that's what we got for you guys on today's episode. So we'll catch up with you guys here on the next one.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you are doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
During August, when you purchase the whole ball of wax at LawnpreneurAcademy.com and use the code LAL2024, you receive $250 off and one free ticket to Lawntrepreneur Academy Live 2024 this November in Novi, Michigan. Seize the moment and elevate your lawn care business with our most comprehensive package. You get full access to all training programs, including a one-on-one coaching call with Brian. The whole ball of wax includes free lifetime upgrades to future editions with a few exclusions. It's over $3,500 in programs and resources for $14.99, and we're going to take an extra $250 off that price. This is easily saving you over 50% compared to buying a la carte. If you've been contemplating making your move to the top, now is the time to act. The clock is ticking, and this offer ends August 31st. Turn your aspirations into achievements with Lawntrepreneur Academy's whole ball of wax. Use code LAL2024 and you receive $250 off and one free ticket to Lawntrepreneur Academy Live 2024. We've provided a link in the show description. We hope you guys enjoyed this interview for the 2024 Teenager Lawn Tourpreneur Series. If you'd like to see more from each guest, including a full tour of their business and lawn care setup, we invite you every Monday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern to check out the Brian's Lawn Maintenance YouTube channel. Thanks for listening, and get after it, friends.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.